All right, welcome to the Sae Bae cast number 193 with Sinferna. How are we doing today, Sin?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
I swear you've been in the community for like years. I don't know when exactly you became prominent. I mean, one of the first questions I actually wanted to ask you, but besides just like an introduction, is just how you see Twitter, like OSRS Twitter from then versus now. So what's like your history? Like when did you get into the OSRS community?
In old school RuneScape specifically, I got into it. I made a Twitter around 2016. That's when old school was 3 years old. I actually had no, at this point, I wasn't playing any video games or anything. Like I had quit RS3 a couple years back because I got banned.
Oh my God, wait, what
Uh,
happened? We're
dude,
gonna
I
branch
bought it.
off into a
Okay,
bunch of conversations, I imagine.
I was like in high school, like 15 or 16 years old, and back then everyone used to bot, okay? Like you were
Okay.
you were a loser if you didn't bot. I swear. I don't know. At least out of my friend group. And then so I just kind of got like I just eventually started doing it myself, okay? I'm gonna admit it. Yeah, and so then got permanently banned for that. Dude, I lost a blue Halloween mask. Fuck my life.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So you were like actually
Yeah.
wealthy. I don't actually remember the prices. I mean, I wasn't even playing during that era. I played as a kid and then I quit for so long. Like, was that one of the expensive ones or was it like the party hats that were like the big ticket stuff?
The party hats were the big ones, and then you had things like the disc of returning and like like what else did we have? We had like there was like an edible pumpkin or something like that. I don't even remember. But yeah, and I was like kind of wealthy, but I actually don't know. I don't know. I feel like a lot of my friends were always richer. But anyway, yeah, so like I got I got banned and I thought I was done with gaming permanently because I didn't play any other games. I still don't play any other games really other than this. Quit and then I got into optometry school in England. So I had to move there. And at this point I had no friends there. Like I had like especially starting out, I had no friends or family there. So I was like, you know what? Like, why don't I just make a new account on RuneScape? Like surely I can get back to sort of the account that I had before, which was almost maxed. And started playing and eventually I came across RuneScape. I'd always been a fan of Twitter, even outside of gaming. And then I came across RuneScape Twitter and I just made an account, but I would never really tweet on it. I would just kind of lurk. Like, I didn't know anyone. And then there was just some wild shit going on back then. It was honestly like kind of like the wild, wild west to some extent because, dude, there was, I remember one of the first memorable experiences I had was there was this hacker. Um, his name is Isla. And he he hacked all of Oblivion's offsite and like Oblivion PVM at the time and got into a bunch of their RuneScape accounts as well. And that's when back when GP was probably like what like a buck 50 per mil.
Oh my
And
God.
he cashed the fuck out. Like so I don't know, like and it was people like him and then um yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I feel like I'm just rambling here.
no, I'm this is the kind of stuff that I missed out on because I
Yeah.
started old school in like late 2015 and I
Yeah.
hadn't even heard anything about RuneScape for like 8 years cuz I quit in 2007 when they got rid of free trade. That
Yeah.
was just the absolute destruction of the game in my opinion. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so I never got to experience the quote unquote golden years of old school. People think that like 2008 to
Mm.
2011 were the golden years. I don't know what you think. Is that correct?
I agree. I agree. I feel like people tend to romanticize the past though generally. So it's like I look back on like 2006 being like super fond memory, but as well as the era that you mentioned. But I feel like maybe within 10 years I'm gonna look back at this era and be like, no, that was my favorite. You know what I mean?
Oh
I don't
yeah,
know.
no, this is definitely like the actual golden years. Like we're living through it right
Yeah.
now and we're not even like
Yeah.
like registering it as golden years. That's what always happens. But
Yeah.
Twitter for me, I missed out on all the good, spicy. it feels like I missed out on all the spicy stuff.
Yeah.
We have had obviously spicy stuff in the last like few years when I got a little bit more active on it. But one of you're gonna have to like, I don't know how much your feed was full of RuneScape stuff. I just remember some of the like high level players. Like, I don't know if you remember the name Trance Music.
Absolute. Oh my God. Are you going to talk about Trance and Poison Ivy?
See, this is honestly part of the reason why I was excited to get you on, because I feel like you would potentially know some of this like old lore that I don't even know of, and anybody I ask about, like, they just don't know. I just didn't care, but I feel like you would be somebody that actually remembers some of these stories. So
no,
yes,
I do.
Trance Music and Poison Ivy was her name, right?
Yes. No,
Okay,
dude, I still
let's dive into this. I need to hear it.
Yeah, like so sometimes like my phone will randomly like show me memories, so I'll just be going through my phone. I'll still have screenshots of shit like this that happened like back in the day, and I'm like, wow, like I get like so nostalgic. Like it was good entertainment. But yeah, so that whole thing, like so that was also one of sort of the first things that ever happened, like one of my first experiences with the RuneScape community. And so I remember one of my friends DM'd me a stream, a trance stream, and he was pretty much like pretending he was like sticking a remote control up his ass or something like that. It's like I don't even know what the fuck was going on. And like, dude, you have to remember, like, this is me coming from being like a fucking straight, like full on like normie. Like I had not engaged in like gaming culture, gaming Twitter, or like anything in like years and years, right? So I was like, it was like a it was like a car crash. Like you can't help but look, but you're like, what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
And so he's doing that, and
can we get like a brief history of like who Trance Music is? Like, because all I know is that he was a very, very high level player that just skilled all day. He was like top.
He was rank 2.
Okay, he was rank 2.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I'm almost 99% sure top 2. He's like rank 2. Yeah, and
Let me just because I don't actually know, but was he like rank 2 EHP potential? Because I don't ever actually recall him being in like the actual like top page. I just remember his hours played was like top something. I mean, maybe you're right, because I actually honestly wasn't really around then. I remember when I started though in 2015, Randalicious was rank 2 at the time. If you recognize that name for sure.
Oh yeah. The goat. No, but like,
okay. But he was a top player for the most part. Like that was kind of his claim to fame at the time.
Yeah. No, he maybe I'm misremembering that. For some reason, I remember him being like top 2, top 5, something like that. He was, but yeah, you're like you said, he was up there. Like he was known for being like one of the sort of like the biggest like skiller type of guys, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so then so he was pretty big skiller, and he was dating a girl from I think New Zealand named Poison Ivy. And she was also like a very high level player. Like she was like doing like chambers when it came out and stuff. Like I remember seeing her get a Tebow or something, or like a raid that she was in. So she was also sort of part of the high level community. I'm assuming that's how they met, like through Twitter and stuff, I guess, right?
Probably.
Yeah, and anyway, so then it seemed like I'm trying to think of like the briefest way I can say all this, because I feel like it's so complicated, or not complicated, but like long-winded. But pretty much like TLDR is she it seemed like she was like mentally abusing him, or something was going on. Like it seemed like there was like some sort of like abuse, like she was abusing him in some way.
Okay.
Because he would write
like online. Like this is all like virtual. Like they hadn't like met up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. Yeah, so they hadn't met up, and like there was pictures of him writing her name across his forehead. And have you seen that picture?
Probably, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he there was that picture, and he had a So it wasn't just him. So then all these other guys started coming out saying that, like, with her name written across their
Oh
foreheads.
no.
And then there was a fucking news article that T-Pain, you know T-Pain?
Yeah, yeah.
T-Pain tweeted about this news article. It was a news article saying that Poison Ivy was like abusing men on the internet. Like she was
What?
mentally, emotionally, like humiliating them, like some shit like that. I don't remember the specifics.
Okay.
And 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 yeah, so like there was more to it. Like there was like screenshots of like her conversation with this guy who was like begging her to like stay in his life or something like that, and she was like pretty much like I don't care, like she was like very nonchalant, something like it was some shit like that. Anyway, so pretty much I heard from someone who knew her personally that she was actually giving like whips out to people, like to guys, to get them to write her name on her forehead because it was kind of like they're pretty much like fucking around, like they're like trolling.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't actually like this is what like I may be completely wrong, but this is just what I was told. But yeah, apparently he was in on all of it, like it was all like elaborate.
Okay, so this
And
is like a whole scheme. Were they so were was trance music and Poison Ivy like a thing at this time, or was this all prior to this? And because I'm assuming all of this is leading up to when he like cashed out on RuneScape for like a wedding ring or something.
they're dating. Yeah, they were I'm pretty sure they were dating at this point and
Okay.
they got married not too long after. And I remember he like took her on shopping trips where he was buying her like fucking like hella like Chanel, Gucci, like Louis Vuitton, like it was just like a spread on her bed of like all this like designer shit. And
And that was
and
all from
everyone
RS Gold, or did he have? Was he rich in real life? Like I'm assuming this was after he had cashed out and like basically real world traded everything that he had made from RuneScape.
so this is the thing. Everyone thought like the common belief on Twitter, and I think even till this day, is that yeah, it was because of his gold. I think he had like 12 bill or something, right? So at the time it would have been what, like over 15K or something, right?
Yeah.
And but yeah, that may be true. I think he did sell his GP, but apparently his dad is like rich as fuck in real life, so he's just like loaded as
Oh
well.
shit. Oh okay.
Yeah, so like it's like but like obviously it's funnier to think that he funded the whole
Yeah.
thing with his RuneScape account.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's loaded in real life, which is what I've heard.
So it ended up actually being a successful like love story of them actually getting together. It wasn't just for show. It wasn't just this grand scheme to manipulate e-boys into writing her name on their foreheads. But it
Yeah.
ended up being like they actually fell in love and they got married and then they lived happily ever after. Is that what happened? Did they stay together?
Yeah. I honestly have no idea. I've not heard of them in years, but as far as I know, yeah, they're still together. They might not be, but yeah, they really did, I guess, live happily ever for after.
That is crazy. See, I just remember because when I got into old school in 2016 or no 2015, the
Mhm.
first people that captured my interest in the old school scene were the high level skillers because back then, I mean, we're talking 2015 where the only real piece of PVM was like
Yeah.
Zulra, DKs, God Wars, and that was pretty much it. It felt like.
Hmm.
And
No, yeah, yeah,
skilling,
yeah.
like skilling was the shit. So if you were a high level skiller, and this is all before people were 4.6 bill, so there was still that race going on, and there was a lot of competition behind it. I got like the first
Mm.
streamer I ever watched was Randalicious, believe it or not. That was the first OSRS streamer I ever watched, and
Yeah.
and then I remember discovering the Hexes podcast and trance music was on it. And he is just like, he just super crazy. I mean, we had Sick Nerd back on the Hexes podcast as well when he was rank 1 for a time.
Yeah.
And like, it's just wild times. But I remember hearing all these stories and hearing blips of stuff. And then I listened to a bunch of like the early Iron Man podcasts, like from the high level Iron Man that had like started out, and they were talking. It's like I'm like piecing all these puzzle pieces together of like, okay, this happened on OSR's Twitter. I'm trying to recognize names and stuff because I was just so interested in it all because it was like all the spiciest drama that's happening in the high level community. But I was such a noob back then. I'm like trying to piece it together. So getting these little artifacts of like what you're saying and stuff, it's still piecing it together. I find it so fascinating just how old school was back then.
Yeah. That's so true though. Like it's so true what you said, like how the skillers kind of like almost dominated RuneScape Twitter back then. And I always wonder that to myself too. I was like, why did it feel like, like they were like skillers were the most sort of prominent sort of subgroup on Twitter. And yeah, what you said about how there just wasn't like in any PVM content back then, like, yeah, that checks out. Like that makes so much sense.
It's so crazy because honestly, I mean, so when did you start old school? Did you actually start in 2013 or did you say like
2016, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you had also gotten on Twitter at that same year.
Yeah. But okay. I was like quiet as a mouse for like about a year and a half, like 2 years. Like no one knew who the fuck I was.
probably for the best. Just stay quiet.
For real. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just a different time back then because even like 2015, what people celebrated was your 99s. Like if you got a 99 cape, you were a god. I was even playing before they came out with a max cape. I'm pretty sure. Maybe there was a max cape, but it didn't have any perks yet. I just remember this was just a completely different era. And you're right about the OSRS scene on Twitter being completely dominated by skillers because that was the hype stuff. Like you weren't going to have people flexing their, I mean, I guess you did have some people flexing their DKs trips and stuff because that was the only thing to flex basically, or they're like bandos trips. But people also sucked at the game back then. I mean, PVM related, like they sucked. And I actually want to ask you about what do you think was the piece of content in game that improved PVMer skill the most?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say probably Inferno is really high up there. Just because like it kind of introduced mechanics to old school that we hadn't really seen before, and like you had to be so careful with things like pathing and even things like how corner traps work and stuff like that. Like I feel like a lot of things like that weren't really common knowledge before Inferno came out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's things like I think Inferno was huge. I think raids generally as well. Yeah.
It is interesting because there were pieces of content before, because I would agree with you. I think Inferno is probably the piece of content. Not only was it really difficult, but it's a forced solo thing. So unlike raids where you could just do it with a team and kind of slack off, and I'm always thinking of like Bandos and Zami, where you would have really, really skilled players at the time that were soloing it and showing off their skill. But most times you're going in a team with like 3 or 5 people and just hanging out. But Inferno was forced solo, and it's interesting because like I feel like Inferno was the piece of content that really just accelerated people's confidence in the game. And so if you dived in there, then you have this really huge sense of accomplishment and confidence into getting into like other high level PVM scenarios. So I think that was probably the key thing. However, when you look at, I think the raids, I think like Chambers and Tob, those are things where people started really caring about mastering things. Because I feel like when Inferno came out, it was all about just getting the cape. Whereas with raids, it wasn't just about getting the loot. It was all of a sudden like, okay, we're going to min-max this to the extreme and like become super elitist with, being as efficient as humanly possible.
Dude, I agree. I agree with that. Like, I feel like that sort of push towards like perfection started happening a lot, especially around like 2019, 2020, which is when I feel like people started caring about like world records and stuff. Like that's when I saw people like actively like sending money raids and stuff and like trying to go faster and faster and just like starting to theory craft more and more ways, especially during COVID. I don't know if it was because everyone was just like bored and shit, but like But yeah, like people really started like going in the lab and like um yeah, and yeah, that I think that's when I sort of realized that speed running was even a thing in RuneScape. Like it never really I'd heard of like speed running like in like Mario and shit, but I never thought like I never thought of it in terms of RuneScape back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think I'm trying to think why that turning point happened. Maybe it was just natural because we had some really in-depth pieces of PVM content, like, raids 1 and 2. But there was
Mm.
also a turning point with skilling, because as soon as Link's Titan got 4.6 bill, and then soon after Hey Jace, and then, the top page started filling up, people lost interest in skilling, because that, believe it or not, and for a lot of new players, it's kind of hard to imagine skilling being a popular thing, but it really was at the time. Like, people really loved watching people skill to 200 mils and stuff back then, because it was just a completely different culture. I even remember like
Yeah.
Autumn Elegy sitting down for 6 months straight mining at 3-tick 4G, and he had hundreds of viewers. I'm talking like 500 viewers just perma camping his
Wow.
stream. Like, if somebody does that now, they're camped at 8 viewers. Like, that's just not.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about them going for 200 mils for the most part. Again, there's a lot of other factors, but the main thing was the race to it.
Yeah, the race isn't there anymore. You're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
And now, so I think that turning point where people started focusing more on like PVM was not only because skilling had kind of died, but also we're getting really polished pieces of PVM content that could really like push the limits of people's stuff. Plus, we started actually getting like really
Mhm.
enjoyable weapons. It's also kind of key to note that like back in the day when people were PVMing, like we had whips. Like we had like the tent whip was like the best thing, or like a Hosta. Now we got like
Yeah.
T-bows and scythes and shit. Like things are a lot more exciting, I feel like.
Yeah, it's like leagues, like big number makes the fucking dopamine spike, you know what I mean? Like
It does. Do you have any like worries or concerns about power creep just in general? Obviously, power creep is absolutely
mm,
essential to keeping a thriving
yeah.
game. But do you ever worry about it like accelerating too fast, or you just like whatever?
Yeah, yeah. I think seeing kind of what happened in RS3 with how quickly it felt like the power creep sort of just ran up the game. I think that's a bit of a concern with old school, but at the same time, if sometimes it feels like they're almost gone a bit too slow with how often they're like, increasing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, like think about the raids. There were how long did we have to wait before it was TOB was 2018, then the TOA came out. Was it 3 years later, 4 years later?
Yeah. When did TOA come out? Was that 2022? I think it was 2022.
Oh, I was
So
thinking 2021.
that was 4 years, because TOB was 2018. Yeah, that was a 4 year difference
Yeah,
between that. Wow. Yeah.
yeah, and obviously, TOB is the scythe, and TOA is the
Shadow.
shadow. So I'm not comparing them, but like
Hmm.
I just mean in general. Like I feel like some like they take so damn long to. It feels like it to like like for example, I was kind of looking forward to ruinous prayers. I don't
Really?
know. I was kind of excited to use them. I don't know, but at the same time, like honestly, I just kind of go with the flow with the game. Like I don't I feel like a lot of my friends like are a lot more sort of invested in the changes and like what's going to happen with the game. But for me, I'm like, you know what? Like I'll probably have fun playing whatever you guys put out, so it's all good. Like I'll probably find a way to make it enjoyable for myself.
That's a much healthier way to go about it, because we actually do have a lot of control as a community, but it takes a lot of effort and a lot of passion and a lot of like arguing to get things to go your way. And a lot of the time it's just way better on your mental health. Just be like, you know what, whatever comes out, and I'm just going to enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's so interesting because like I don't know how exactly I've obviously become like a lot more. I feel like most people have, especially, but I used to be pretty rigid in the way I thought about the game years back, and I've definitely become like a lot
Mhm.
more just liberal, just like whatever, more, I guess, enlightened with the game, where like it's okay for the game to be fun, even if something is kind of broken. Some of the time, a little bit of broken piece of content is actually kind of fun, and if done in the right way, it can actually be like a really good thing for the game because it's just really it's like a boost of excitement.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think like when Serb came out, think about this. When Serb came out, the best in slot boots before that for Melee were Dragon boots, and they had +4 strength, no accuracy. The next best thing had +5 strength, which was Prims, and +2 accuracy. That is nothing. That's like nothing. And you know, and the thing is like they could actually get away with that because the game was a lot different. Everybody was a lot more careful about things. That the community didn't want any sort of power creep and stuff, and so those little teeny increments were still fine, but it just wasn't as exciting.
Exactly. That I think that's sort of what you said right there. That's sort of what I mean with the it feels like they increment things a little bit too slowly sometimes, but I get it because obviously like they don't want pushback from the community and stuff saying that like, oh, like you guys are going too fast, whatever.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I definitely have seen a speed up in the power creep, and it's you know, one thing I'm kind of curious of. I'm also curious your thoughts, what you imagine raids for mega rare being, because we already have the 3 styles, so I don't know what they're planning on doing with it, but I'm also curious how big of a leap they're going to take with the new raids 4 stuff, because I mean we see with Araxor they came out with a new melee amulet, which is a huge upgrade, but it's not as huge as people probably had wished for. Like people think it should have been even higher strength.
I feel like one piece of content or like one piece of gear that like has just not really received any that much love over the years, minus like changes in like their stats, is like boots. I don't know.
Yes. No,
Right?
the boots discussion is actually really crazy because people hate 9-way switches, rightfully so. And a lot of the time when you start, like one thing is, you know, everybody would just always wear Prims because Eternal boots never seemed to matter until the Shadow came out. And then, you know, pegs just suck. You know, they're just awful. And they look great, don't get me wrong. But people would mainly just camp Prims. And so in a lot of situations, you would just have a nice, clean 8-way switch if you really wanted to sweat. And nowadays, we have to kind of do that 9-way switch. And so the discussion is like, do we want to... Oh, and before, you know, all the like Tormented bracelets and the Ferocious gloves and now the Zarite Van braces, most people just wear Barrow's gloves, so the switches were even more minimal. Nowadays, if you really, really, really want to sweat, I mean, you potentially have to do a 10-way switch, which nobody wants to do. And there actually has been some discussion on like, what if a Raids 4 Mega Rare was a combo boot where it is the Mega Rare, so it's like max cash, but it is a Tribrid boot that's better than all the Serb boots. And it's just like, there you go. This is for only the rich people, and now this eliminates a switch. Because I feel like that's what people really want. They want like a piece of gear that actually eliminates one of your switches.
That sounds so sick. And yeah, like you said, I think they're really gonna need to like work hard on like just keeping the value of it up, like they have for like Tebow and stuff. Like, yeah. I think I'm hoping that Raids 4 is gonna be higher APM and just like different mechanics and like more difficult, maybe more intricate, like even more teamwork based mechanics. Because like I think one of the best things about Tob when it first came out, like Inferno, was like so few people were able to do it in the first couple of months. Like you said, like even getting a completion was like, wow, like, you know, like they're gamers. And it feels like we just haven't had a raid or really content like that come out in so long. Like we kind of got it with Awakened bosses. Like that was really fun the first day seeing people go for it.
But it's all solo stuff as well. It's not as exciting without a team effort.
And with TOA, I feel like, you know, they just didn't really go in the route of like making it like super like obviously like high invocations are still like hard, but like I don't know. For me, the mechanics felt a little shallow, in TOA.
TOA just feels so scripted. It's like
Yeah.
they're like with Tob, you jump in and you kind of figure out the meta sort of like everywhere. You kind of figure it out, and everything's more simple. Like
Yeah.
bloat, it runs and then it stops. It runs and then it stops. That's it. Maiden, there is the 3 phases, which is a little bit more scripted, but
Yeah.
something like Zarpus. Like Zarpus is a perfect example of something that's like, this is a very simplistic boss, but you can
Yeah.
make it really complex, but fun
Yeah.
complex, not like not annoying complex. Like,
Like tedious.
yeah, no, it's like they
Yeah.
made it so it's not fully scripted. Like the thing with I'm trying to think of like the worst offender in TOA. I think it's probably Baba, or maybe like even Kefri potentially, where it's, I mean, even Akka was kind of
Yeah.
like that, but they allowed, because I don't know exactly when Butterfly was discovered, probably within the first few days of Toa, and they were pretty scared of having the butterfly method be a thing because they wanted the fight to be very scripted, where you stay in your quadrant, do the
Mm-hmm.
style switches, kill the ghost thing, and then continue to the next quadrant. And that is so fucking boring because
Yeah.
you feel forced to do this bullshit. And with the Akka butterfly, you're just bypassing it all, and it feels really, really good and clean. And that the butterfly method in Toa is honestly one of the best parts about the raid, because if you learn that difficult technique and you learn the timing and everything, then you feel like you're bypassing things, which is a really good feeling. And that's the same with like
Yeah.
something like Zarpus, or something like I don't know, even like at Verzik. Like Verzik P3 feels really clean sometimes because you got
Yeah.
the web skipping, and if you really get good, you can learn the whatever that last phase is called, where you do the like,
Hog tank.
yeah, the pog tank. Yeah, like that. That's relatively new, but that's some really cool shit that you can learn that just makes it way more efficient.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely, definitely. Yeah, like and that's sort of like that whole I don't know like I don't know like what kind of mechanics I would like specific examples of mechanics I would personally want in a new raid, but yeah, I don't
It's
know, maybe
it's
something with like
it's like so hard to fully capture what is so addicting about like, I don't know if you've like solo rated. Are you a solo raider at all, like Chambers?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, I do quite a bit of solo CMs.
So solo Olm is so good because you just feel like
Yeah.
you're making Olm your bitch. Like you actually just are the whole time. Like he's just looking around, he can't do shit, and it requires tick perfect timing. And once you have it down, it feels so smooth. It feels good, and it feels like you're just abusing Olm, and it's a really good feeling. And it's a good thing that they allowed that, instead of being like, no, 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 we're gonna change it so Olm's always gonna hit you because it needs to be hard. Like that would be so stupid. So
Yeah.
you have to design something where the tick system, like the timing, allows you to do these weird manipulative things to the boss,
Mhm.
but it can't be scripted. And it also has to feel like it was discovered in a way, because that also feels good. Like you want that sense of discoverability where you're like, I found this hack in the boss, and then it makes you feel more powerful, and it makes you feel like you've pioneered a method. Like there's something really cool to that. Like
Yeah.
there is. I don't know. I don't know how to capture it exactly in words, and I don't know how, as a dev,
Yeah.
you design something like that. But that's what they have to do for Raids 4.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I agree. Like it is like so hard to sort of encapsulate like what that would entail and stuff. Uh like I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. I was actually talking to my some people about this a while ago. Like if like with the death mechanics or something, like I don't know. Like I think one of the fun things about Tob is that you're like so you don't want to rag your team, like you don't want to die, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're so like you're so focused in, like you're so tuned in.
And it's fast paced too.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I had thought before TOA dropped, I was thinking puzzles would be really fun for a Raids 3 if they design them well. And now we have puzzles in TOA, and nobody fucking likes them.
No one
They're
likes them,
horrible.
yeah. Yeah.
So, and I'm completely like I've swapped my mentality entirely. Like again, they didn't master the puzzles, so there is a world in which they did design puzzles to be very, very free flowing and not a nuisance at all, and not having monkey room and all this other random shit that just doesn't feel good. But
Hmm.
ultimately, I think the entire community agrees that not the entire community, but the vast majority agrees that Raids 4
Most of
should not
us.
have puzzles. Yeah, it should just go in, kill the boss, go to the next room, kill the boss, and like remove a lot of the downtime.
Yeah, exactly. And like thinking about what you said earlier, I think like you said, like one of the other fun things about Tob is that it's as difficult as you want it to be. Inferno is as difficult as you want it to be. Like you kind of set the difficulty yourself, you know?
Hmm.
Um like it's like going into Tob with like 5 brews versus going in with 0 food and like 2 anglers, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like um yeah, I don't know. And like yeah.
To-
So I think, sorry.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say like Toa. You're right about it's kind of hard to put into words, but you're right. You choose the difficulty
Mhm.
without actually choosing the difficulty. Like Toa is more scripted because you feel like you're choosing all the difficulty before you've even entered it. Where in
Yeah.
those other pieces of content, you're choosing the difficulty based on more intuitive like more like just like hands-on through experience, like how you're gonna have your raid be or have your inferno be, just depending on like what you're comfortable with without actually setting the parameters beforehand. I don't know.
Yeah. No, um I think in terms of TOA, like yeah, like you said, like you have to kind of set the difficulty like beforehand, but yeah, I think they did it. I think they designed TOA with the mind with like keeping in mind that they're trying to continuously attract new customers to the game because the game just it's I feel like the majority of players are people who used to play the game back in the day,
Hmm.
or like they have like siblings or something that played, like, you know what I mean, like
Oh yeah.
Idle had this thread and I meant to read it later, but I forgot to. But Idle made this thread asking like people who were like new to like brand new to the game, like what brought them in. But I didn't like did you read it?
I probably saw it. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to it clearly because I don't
Yeah.
remember it fully.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, so I think like I think TOA is kind of an example of like a piece of content that they really are designed to try to bring new players in because like the difficulty level to like get into the raid if you go with like the lowest info possible is
Hmm.
like not very hard, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. So maybe that influenced it as well and to some extent in some way. I don't know.
Yeah. No, and I think as much as I would love a raid that comes, I've always held onto the view that Toa for the most part was very much a net positive because it got people into raiding that wouldn't have normally
Hmm.
gotten into it because you've been a high level PVMer for years. I have as well, and it feels like I don't know, like Tob and Chambers, when you do enough of it and you had the luxury of experiencing it when it was relatively new, and now you have a bunch of teammates you can go with whenever it feels great, and it feels like this nice thing that you've been able to kind of master and stuff. But for a lot of players, it's so daunting to get into. It's so difficult to find teammates. It's so difficult to learn because nobody wants to teach.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And Toa was a great kind of way for those players to get kind of comfortable in raiding in general. And then that allowed them to potentially feel confident going into TOB and Chambers. And so I think it was a net positive, but I still hold on to the view that raids should be for high level end game players because one of the things we see, and I don't know if you like watch Behemoth or you've seen the Reddit posts of like the Fang price being like under 10 mil.
Yeah.
You got these incredibly powerful weapons that are coming from the end game raids that are dirt cheap. I mean, a light bearer is like a
Yeah.
mill. Like what the fuck? Like that's like one of the
Yeah.
best rings in the game. And I don't know all the factors that go into like the pricing of these things, but I know for a fact if a piece of content was so difficult that it actually requires genuine coordination and it actually has a entry point that's very high, and it's not just like, okay, I'm just going to start sending TOAs at 0 and just build my way up, but it really is like, no, this is a very difficult piece of content. Like imagine Inferno had like an invocation system where you could go into the Inferno and just slowly learn it over time. Like the Infernal cape would be devalued, and we can argue if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but if you want raids prices to have a healthy price that's actually matching the power of these items and the difficulty to obtain them, like you need to make the raid actually difficult, and you can't have invocation systems with endgame raids. I love invocations for things like Moons of Peril or some mid-game piece of content where people can get into it and then work their way up, but for endgame, really, and I think that JMods agree. Even Mod Kieran was saying they don't really. I think they're going to start drifting away from modifiers and invocations because they're overly complex to design. It's hard to balance, and most of the players just don't want it. They just want to jump into the piece of content and just start going. And I think Raids 4, hopefully, in my dream world, Raids 4 drops, and there is just Raids 4, and that's it. And there's just one set difficulty, kind of like TOB release. And then a month down the line, or maybe even 2 weeks down the line, then there's entry mode. So the hype is all there for the first 2 weeks, and everybody's watching the high-level raiders try to get the first completion and trying to figure it all out. And then a couple weeks down the line, then the entry mode comes out, which is just one set entry mode to get people the feel for it that, weren't good enough from the get-go. And then a couple months later, once everything's kind of figured out, then they come out with the expert mode, which is very difficult. I think that would be like that's like my dream scenario. I don't know if you have any thoughts.
Yeah. No, I don't know if I want like it's so true, especially what you said about Inferno, how that doesn't have like any sort of invocation or difficulty sort of thing to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that's also one of the reasons why it is like one of the just like the coolest pieces of content in the whole game, and why it feels so good to get your first cape, because it's like you I don't know. So I would actually like, I think it'd be kind of, I think we've gotten enough entry mode thingies for now, at least. I don't know. Because we had one in TOB, we had one in TOA.
Mm-hmm.
We had the invocation system in Coliseum. Well, I don't know if you really even count that, but
it's not quite, but it still is modifiers, but they're forced on you, and they're just making it more difficult over time.
Yeah. And like I guess like you can get like, you can kind of choose and just kind of like force your way into like easier invocations, you know what I mean? Like you could just like, so so I guess that's how I mean that. But yeah, like but yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's like I feel like maybe I'm kind of out of touch or being slightly elitist when I say that.
You're not, because so what you're saying is like entry modes should be abolished, basically. Like keep raids actually difficult.
At least for this next raid. Yeah, definitely. It would kind of be nice to have that switch up, since that's what we've had from the past 2 raids.
I would honestly agree. The problem is I just don't see it happening. Like I honestly just can't see, because of what they saw with TOB. Like the analytics on their end is probably like, okay, we had 0.001% of the player base actually engage with TOB because it was so goddamn difficult. And they need to make money, and so they're going to be like, I don't know. I just think the
players are generally go on.
No. I was just going to say, like, I think the perfect route to go down is I honestly think TOB did it pretty well, where there is entry mode. There is no uniques from it. You can't get uniques. Nobody's going to be grinding entry modes. It's really to get your feet wet in a very simplified version of it. And you still, if you want to get the stuff, there is one set difficulty that's very difficult. And then there's the expert mode that comes out months down the line, which really just puts your skills to the test. Like, I don't know. I feel like the entry mode is actually fine for a raid, because just basically to get people's toes wet, because I don't actually know how well like Tob entry did like on their end, like how they actually see it, if it actually got a lot of new players in. But I imagine it really did help some new players get the feel for it. Who knows though?
You were saying earlier, like, yeah, like people who were daunted by like TOA was a net positive because people who were daunted by raids finally were sort of able to um, start raiding and start sort of get their first glimpse into what like sort of high level PVM is like.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, so even if we don't have an entry mode for this next raid, you can, and you're like a new player trying to get into raiding, you've got TOA. Like there is an entry mode. Obviously, it's going to be different mechanics, but like in terms of teaching you things like inventory management or like like making sure that your stats stay 118, like things like that,
Mm-hmm.
like you can still learn all those basics from entry mode TOA or entry mode TOB. And I feel like once you get those things down, like like for example, like if you are already good at a raid, whether it's TOA, TOB, chambers, any of them, and raids 4 comes out, you're not going to do the entry mode, are you? You're probably going to go straight into the content. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking for myself here, but I think like I personally would probably just kind of jump straight into like the more difficult stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say is just like I think that there already are like a pretty solid ways to get yourself into raids and higher level PVM. And I don't know, like I don't know if it would be necessary to have another system like that for raids 4, but people might disagree.
No, I think most people that care about raids and are in that high level group would completely agree with you. I even hesitate to even like point out the benefit of entry mode because I really would, like selfishly really would love just a raid that is very difficult and it's gate kept by the end game gear already and end game coordination with players that really know what they're doing. But I just can't get past what we've now seen and heard from the J mods, where like they want pieces of content to be engaged with by a bigger portion of the player base. We touched on some of the older history of Twitter drama and stuff, but Slice of Mayo here is asking most memorable stinker tweet, or just I guess memorable tweets in general in the OSRS scene.
Oh, geez.
Or of your own. I know you've had some bangers. You've definitely had some bangers.
So I actually read that and I thought he was like talking about like my own stinker tweet, because I was like, why would he call anyone else's tweet stinkers? Obviously he's right. But yeah, so I actually did think about this one, and it's probably, oh man, it's too hard to even, it's honestly too hard to even describe.
Do you have a link to it?
Yeah, that's literally what I'm pulling up right now. Okay. Oh my god. It's just so easy to bait the root, like just people on Twitter in general sometimes by just like saying something so stupid.
Yeah.
Like not even like polarizing or controversial, like just dumb.
Yeah.
And like it's so funny. Sorry.
I also want to after I see this one, I want to know like what was a tweet that you thought would flop, but it actually just pulled numbers.
Oh, that's a good question.
Because
there's definitely been.
It seems to happen sometimes.
It does. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. Oh, that's such a good question. I guess it was this one. I think I remember talking to Hootie, and I was like, dude, like, I'll laugh if this even gets like 50 likes.
Yeah.
But it ended up getting like 300 or something like that, which obviously isn't crazy, but I was just like, there's no way that people actually thought this was funny. Like, it's the dumbest thing I've ever said in my whole life. Oh, I can't find it right now. But like a TLDR of what it was.
Yeah.
Was tweets where you like capitalize certain parts of the sentence to form like a new sentence.
Oh my god.
You know what I mean?
I'm already like imagining what the tweet you're trying to find is, but I wouldn't be able to like remember. But yeah, I know because I've seen those from you.
Yeah. So it was just a really, really dumb one of that, and it made no sense. It was about like putting your dishes in the sink after you eat a doner kebab, and like it just, yeah, and like for some reason, like it's there was definitely some people who got mad at it. I'm like, how how does this make you mad? Like, I don't know.
Do you ever like how long have you spent on a tweet, like on an individual tweet? Do you think like what's the longest you've spent just thinking about it, typing
Okay,
it all out, retyping it, everything?
so one time I made a video and I had to make like I had to script it because it was my parody of a guy making a toast at his wedding to his wife that he met on RuneScape. And so I was pretending to be the guy and I was saying it from the guy's POV, and that uh that probably took me, I want to say, at least 2 hours to write and record and then tweet.
Oh my god. And you've also had I don't know how often you do this anymore. I know you used to use TikTok and post like RuneScape stuff. Do you
Yeah.
still do TikTok?
I do. Yeah. Just from time to time. So all I do on TikTok is like I'll take tweets of mine and then just turn them into TikToks. So it's just like a really chill way to like create content
Yeah.
and like but yeah, it like sometimes like there'll just be ones that like just kind of bang as
Yeah.
well. So it
Yeah.
works out.
I see. I never was on TikTok. I downloaded TikTok once and I had it for like 10 minutes before I deleted it because my little brother was like, "Oh, you should definitely get TikTok." And I already knew beforehand. I was like, I already know how addicting these things can be. So like me downloading this is just like it's just like it's like self-sabotage. Like why would I do this to myself? Because I'm gonna get addicted to it. It's like here, like start
Yeah.
vaping right now. Like I'm okay, I guess. No. So I deleted it pretty quickly because I could already kind of feel like I
Yeah.
was like swiping through a lot, and I was already addicted to reels and shorts at this time anyway. So, but
Oh yeah.
TikTok
Yeah.
seems to be like like the cringe meter is just so much higher. It's like maybe it's just because there's like a younger audience or something, but oh my god, like
Yeah.
there's some stuff that is it's like it's like they're not even trying. Who knows? Maybe this is like galaxy brain on their end, but it's like they're not even trying to be cringe, but it's just the cringest stuff, and people get used to how cringe it is, so more cringe stuff comes out because that's like the new norm. And I don't know if you experience that, like TikTok. I don't know what the fuck. It's there's some stuff that's so cringe though. It's like painful to watch. I get secondhand embarrassment really easily, and TikTok
Dude,
makes me so uncomfortable
it's
sometimes.
it's up there. Yeah, no, like okay, so I felt the same way about it as first too. I'm like, okay, what like when I first downloaded it, I'm like what am I getting myself into here? And then the more I started using it though, like the more I realized it's like it's just like every other platform in a sense that there are always the cringers,
Mm,
but thing is we're more likely to hear about the cringers than just like the normal people using the app.
hmm
So I think over time my sort of perception of it has adjusted quite a bit, and like because now I get like because my algorithm has like sort of like become tailored to me, I get a lot of content that I'm actually actively looking for,
mm,
which is like like a lot of like beauty, healthcare, like
yeah.
stuff like that. And so now, honestly, it's like so enjoyable for me. And I think like whenever I did get that cringe content, I would just kind of swipe past it. And I don't know. I
The
guess my
algorithm
algorithm just
just
knows.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
good. See,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
worst thing ever is when there's something actually just unbearably cringe or something that
Yeah.
like you don't even want to have in your algorithm, but you're so it's like that like car crash thing that you were talking about, where it's like it's so bad you need to look at it, like that.
Yeah.
When maybe I would imagine TikTok's algorithm is probably the best out of like the three I think of. Like Instagram, I even deleted Instagram. I don't even use that anymore. But YouTube
Yeah.
Shorts feels like as soon as I watch something I'm not interested in for more than 2 seconds, it's like, oh, you liked this. Like we saw your eye movement. You fucking liked it, you little bitch. So now we're going to just start flooding everything with it. And it's just the worst because some of the time I want to watch a reel, but I don't, or like a short, but I don't want it to register that I liked it. It's like, this is a
Yeah.
one-off occasion. Don't put it in the algorithm. Just let me watch this in peace. But a lot of the time I just have to like force myself to not watch something just so it doesn't think I like it.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Oh my God. Okay. So I have like fucking trauma for this on TikTok. I there was for some reason there's TikToks of live animals being fed to alligators.
Jesus.
I got one of them on my page once, and I think I had no idea what was about to happen, so I watched it. And then
Oh
after that, just
no.
every other TikTok, like I don't know if it got like glitched or something, but every fucking TikTok was just that, like different animals being fed to like alligators. It was to the point where I was like, because I thought I'd be able to scroll past it, but it just kept going. So I literally had to like, I closed the app, like, and I just like didn't use my phone for like a couple hours, and then yeah, stopped getting it. It was so weird. I have no idea how that happened.
Oh my God. See, that is I I think like first off, Twitter, I refuse to go to the for you section.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Twitter's so bad now.
it is so bad. It's not even funny. Like it's
Yeah.
honestly not even funny at this point. Like and the thing is like you'll go there and be like, "Oh yeah, just block the shit that's, getting recommended to you. Just block it." I'm like, "Dude, when you block it, just more of the same garbage comes up under a different name. Like it's all the same bait. It's just like
Yeah.
it's and the worst part is well, first of all, you just get straight up porn, and then you also get like murders and stuff. Like just like I just watched a person get killed. Like what the fuck? Like this is not what I want to ever see ever. Like just get out of
Yeah.
here. And it's so bad. And then you just get like the most random like beyond that. There's also just this stupid stuff like just brain rot, just pure brain rot of some degenerate kick streamer doing something fucking stupid, and it's just why is it? I've never had any interest. It's like Twitter's algorithm has no idea what I want. It's just like a very generic thing of like, yeah, you probably like this since you're in your 20s and American. I don't fucking know. It's like it has no idea, and it's so painful and like, yeah. Yeah, so I only use the following for Twitter, but and then the following, I now I'm just like rambling at this point. But one of the worst parts, this I love being an OSRS creator. I'm definitely like very grateful to be it, but like I get so much RS stuff, like everything's just RuneScape at this point, that it's just like it just gets so boring. Because it's just been like for years of just like RuneScape stuff, but like that's what I follow on like Reddit and Twitter and even like on YouTube a lot. Like a lot of my YouTube's more IRL stuff, but like
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish almost Twitter was better at a good algorithm that I can like enjoy the feed, but no, it's just garbage.
Dude, I know exactly what you mean. There's just so much slop on Twitter now because it pays to bait and be controversial and just post clickbait. Like you literally make money the more like insane fucking shit that you post, you know?
It's
So it
so
just
bad.
incentivizes like just some of the most awful people, you know what I mean? And like just like awful accounts, etc. And yeah, I feel like it had. I think that's one of the reasons why I started using TikTok a bit more as well, actually, like consequentially. But yeah, I don't know. I still love Twitter as a platform and stuff, and I just hope they clean up the algorithm a bit and stuff too.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would make it a better place. But you're right.
Yeah.
The incentives are just horrible and it just makes the platform worse.
Yeah, exactly. And there was like a report that came out, I can't remember who reported it, but I think like Twitter has lost like so much of its value. It's down to like 5 bill now or something it's worth, and it was bought for 44.
God.
Like that's an insane
God.
that is an insane number. Like, if true, like that's wild. Like
Yeah, it's bad. It's so bad. Like, I mean, Twitter was already a shit show, but it's become, I'm sorry, this is my own take. It's become way worse under Elon Musk. Way worse. But,
what
yeah.
can you do? What can you do?
Exactly. No, I mean, what you can do is just like hop off of it. Like that's what I would love to do, but there always is that part of me that's like, well, one thing, like I really try not to look at Twitter that much, but I still value it as like me posting my stuff, like Sae Bae Cast, getting topics, just posting what's going on, sometimes going live and stuff, which I feel like is valuable. But I'm not gonna lie, like as soon as that becomes not that valuable to me, I'm just hopping off. Like, I just can't deal with it.
Totally. Yeah, like it's still at its like core, at its root, it's still like such a great platform. Like there's a reason that we all still use it despite all the shit that's, like
Mm-hmm.
despite what's happened to it and stuff. So so yeah, it's sad, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we'll see
I
over.
just can't think. I've thought about this. I'm like, dude, if say like one day anything actually happened to Twitter and like everyone actually stopped using it, where the fuck would we all go? Like
Facebook gaming. I'm
Facebook
kidding. Dude,
gaming.
I have not had Facebook in like 6.5 years.
Yeah.
Like and the thing is, like, I had my account just deactivated because there was always a part of me that was like, eventually I'll go back on, like, right, maybe, or just like I would want to go back on, just like see my messenger or something. Okay, I permanently deleted my Facebook like 5 months ago, like actually perma deleted it because
Yeah.
I reactivated it just briefly, just by logging in, and I cringed so hard, like so hard, and
I know.
it's
Yeah, go
bad.
on.
Like, no, it is so bad because the last time I even posted anything was like, years and years and years ago. Because even when I still had it 6.5 years ago, I was never posting. But I start seeing the posts from high school, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck was I saying? Like, where was my brain? And then the other worst part about it is back then, I used to follow just boomers and stuff. Like, anybody I ever knew. Like, if I knew your name, I added you because I saw Facebook as just like, oh, I'm just gonna add every single person I possibly know. And
Yeah.
and this is I guess going into a little bit more detail, but like I
Yeah.
grew up Mormon, and
Yeah.
so I have like a bunch of like boomer Mormons that are just the most right wing fucking delusional people, and
Yeah.
and then I also I follow like a bunch of Hispanics because I served like a Spanish speaking Mormon mission. And so like everybody, like I was telling people like on my mission, I was like, oh yeah, add me on Facebook. So when I get off, like we can add. So I had like, 150 just Hispanics from, because I was in Texas. So it was like just a melting pot of like everybody from like Central and South America just adding me. So I have like a
Yeah.
bunch of Hispanics that are also on there, and they post I'm sorry, like they post the most garbage memes. They're so stupid. They're so stupid. And so I'm like reading my my like feed, and I'm just like
Yeah.
actually brain rotting. Like I'm just like, this is the worst experience ever. And yeah, so that was basically the final straw. I'm
Yeah.
like, there's just no possible way I'm coming back
They're
on
like,
this.
what am I gaining from this? Right?
Yeah,
Like,
like I need.
what do I gain by being here?
And the worst part is like as soon as you reactivate, like as soon as you just log in, like your stuff becomes public again. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what
Yeah.
I've posted when I was 13 and 14, but I never deleted it, and there's no possible way I'm allowing this to like leak like ever.
Dude, I know,
So
I know.
it's like I'm deleting it. It's deleted now. Nope. No
Like
going back.
on this day, like in like 2008, and it's just like the cringiest like thing that you've ever seen. Like you don't even recognize that person. Like you can't even believe that was you. Like when you were 12 or
Oh my
whatever.
god. Okay, so I don't know if you use like Facebook Messenger as like a kid.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, I
13.
did.
Okay, so
Yeah.
listen, like when I was 13, 14 and stuff, like, there was girls in like my middle school and high school and stuff that like, that is how I texted because I didn't have a phone. Like I didn't have like an actual like text message service till I was like 16 or something.
Yeah.
And so I had to use Facebook Messenger for everything. And I used my iPod Touch for it. So it's kind of like texting, but I didn't even look at it 5
Totally.
months ago, but this was probably 3 years ago or so when I actually like last looked at my Messenger. I don't know why I did this. This was just like absolutely like, when you like or like you can't fall asleep because you think of like a really, really cringe moment and you just like can't get it out of your head.
Yeah, you're just laying there reflecting.
Yeah. And it's like I want to stop thinking about this, but like I need to keep like digging deeper into just like how cringe it really was. Anyway, I was reading
Yeah.
this thread from me and this girl when I was like 14.
Stop.
And it is Like it's beyond comical. It's actually to the point where it's just like the skull emoji. Like, get me the fuck out of here. Like, it's just so painful. And the thing is, it's like what you said. It's like you don't even recognize the person. Like, it does not, in no way do I see that as myself ever. Like, I was like, how? Like, there's no way I typed this. There's no way I said this. There's no way any of this happened. I could not believe it. I could
It's
not
so
believe
humbling.
the conversation. Oh
It's
my
such a
God,
humbling
it is.
experience.
It
And
is.
like, but it's like it's also like, you know, it's also kind of a good reminder of how far you've come as well in like life and, you know.
So true. It is so true. Sometimes you think you're like the same person, like you've always been the same person. Like, no, no, no. When you see that, you're like, okay, I've changed.
Yeah, definitely. I think like the essence of you, like the like your soul is probably like that is probably sort of the same, but in terms of like behavior and like your perception of the world, emotional intelligence, those type of things, like they only get I think they only get like stronger with time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just it's bizarre. Like, so I guess when you see like cringe things on TikTok, it's usually from like the Zoomers and stuff. Like you have a little,
Yeah.
I have a little bit of like, empathy. I'm like, okay, yeah, like everyone
Yeah.
was an idiot back then.
Yeah,
Stupid.
like I kind of get it. Like do
Yeah.
your thing, do your
Yeah.
thing.
Exactly. Let them cook. Let them cook for a little bit.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean though. Like you just grow out of people and like situations and stuff. And I've had the same experience like going back on my Facebook and I'm like, first of all, I don't even remember half the people on there. I'm like, wait, when did I meet you again? Like,
Yeah.
like grade five, like English class or something. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's so bad. Do you
Yeah.
remember? I don't know when you got on Facebook. I got on Facebook in 2000. I want to say eight, like early 2008 or
I was
something.
on there in 2006.
Yeah, it was either
Yeah.
2000. I think it was 2008 for me. I think I had like I think I was 12, like 12 and a half or something.
Yeah.
And do you remember when you wanted to add friends, you had to fill out a captcha every fucking time.
You
Yeah,
did?
there would be maybe it was just brief, maybe it was for like a year or something.
Yeah.
But I just remember at one point, I think it was sixth or seventh grade. I think it was probably seventh grade. You would see this little panel with 3 recommended friends, and they were all people from my middle school. And I'd see like a cute girl on there. I'm like, okay, click add friend. And if you wanted to add friend, you had to fill out the 6 character captcha thing every time. I don't know
Why
if
didn't I remember that? No, I definitely used Facebook
yeah.
a lot back then. Dude, I remember we were like fucking 12 years old. Yeah, like back or like I was like 11 actually in 2006.
Mhm.
And we were talking shit about our school, like just trying to be edgy like little kids. We're like, yeah, haha, like fuck that teacher, like fuck that principal, like shit like that. Like we just thought we were so hard, right?
Yeah.
And it ended up getting back to
Oh
like
no.
our teacher somehow. And like, dude, that was like in the very early days of Facebook. Like, we weren't considering shit like that. Like, we were, like, you know what I mean? Like, we had no idea that people could actually, like, yeah, I don't know. And then, like, yeah, and then we got called into the office, like a group of like 20 of us, and like,
Oh my God. The,
yeah, yeah,
the,
good times,
the
good
worst,
times.
the thing that really scares me is how much personal information I put on my Facebook. Like,
Mhm.
I saw it as like filling out my virtual world where it was like you'd go to your bio
Yeah,
thing and it's like, what's your address? I put in my full ass address. Like, what's your phone number? I'm like, I'm gonna put my full ass phone number in here
yeah,
just in case, my crush finds it and wants to text me. And it never fucking happened, of course. Just weird. And then I'm like filling out
yeah.
like, so I'd add like my relatives, and so I'm like marking them as like, okay, this is my cousin, this is my uncle, like the
Oh my
amount of
God,
info I put on
yeah.
there is terrifying. And I'm a child. Like, I'm like 13 years old and I have all of my info
Yeah,
on there. Everything. Every single thing about me. And I thought it was like cool to like have it filled
yeah.
out, like it makes my profile look more like filled out. It's just so bad. It is so
Yeah,
bad.
you could put all that information on there and you could like make your profile like public, I'm pretty sure. Like that is
Yes.
like I just like it's crazy though. Like I like surely like Facebook just didn't have the foresight to see like the potential
Oh yeah.
consequences of that. Like, like because now I feel like obviously they would like do a lot more safeguarding to
Yes.
prevent that.
Yeah, it was fully public. I purposely made it public. I was like, I want people to know all this about me. Now, when I first started streaming, oh hell, I didn't say anything. I was very protective about my like infant. Nowadays, I don't really care as much, just
Absolutely.
because I feel like I understand like the community in my audience, like just I don't have a bunch of toxic people that would like care to dox or anything. But yeah, when I first started, I was like, hell no, I'm not gonna leak anything.
No, I feel that. I also, just because I've been on the internet for so long and I've seen the consequences of like having like not protect keeping your if you keeping your identity like protected or private to some extent.
Hmm.
Like I think I'm just so, yeah, I don't know. I also I'm like very very private and
Yeah.
stuff
Did you
for the
ever
most
like
part.
when you
Mhm.
streamed and stuff? Like, did you ever worry about even having like a face cam? Because I know people,
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that really want to remain private and anonymous, and they won't even bother with a face
They won't
cam.
even use that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, at that point, I think I'd already posted pictures of myself to Twitter, and so I was like, okay, people already know what I look like, and and I think most of the time it's beneficial to have a webcam on, right? Like just
Yeah.
like engagement wise and stuff, because helps people feel like kind of more connected to you in a sense,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So I was like, like why wouldn't I?
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're totally right about it too. Like being in a stream. I mean, even just as a viewer, if there's just somebody with a face cam, they. I think the starkest example is if somebody's doing some really boring piece of content. Like if somebody
Hmm.
was at like Blast Furnace, let's just say, like as soon as you have a face cam, the content becomes like 500% better, like 500% more in,
Yeah.
because you don't even care what they're doing because you can just look at their face. But as soon as the face cam's gone, even if you could be having the same conversation and everything, but it's just like you don't even know where to look, and it's harder to like stick around. It feels like just like the humans
Yeah.
like looking at faces. I don't know. We're addicted to faces.
Dude, when I was getting my PC built
Hmm.
recently, I got it built at the store, and the guy was like asking me like what games I play, etc. And I mentioned RuneScape, and he like, I don't know if he was trying to roast it, but he did. He's like, "Oh, that's pretty much like just chatting, isn't it?" I was like, "There's no way you just said that, bro."
I mean,
But he
he's
he
kind
wasn't
of,
wrong. He
yeah,
wasn't
he's not
wrong.
wrong.
To an extent it is, but I think that's one of the reasons why like comparatively and like proportionally like RuneScape players or RuneScape streamers get like a lot more subs compared to like at like how many views we get. um I can't remember where I heard that, but yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's like, I don't know, like it's you just feel, I feel a level of connection to like when I'm watching RuneScape players and RuneScape streams that I don't when I watch a lot of other games.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I feel like it's the perfect balance of like, I mean, obviously it depends on the creator, but most of the time you're really just there in a stream for the person, and it's not really about the content, and it really does feel like just chatting a lot of the time.
Yeah, yeah, it's a vibe though.
Yeah, like
It's a vibe.
it's like the perfect vibe actually, because you don't, it's not just chatting where now it's like, oh shit, all the focus is on me. There's always that little distraction on the side where you can kind of chill out for a little bit if you don't want to just permanently be talking. As soon as the face cam's only on you, it's like you have to be perma talking. But
Yeah.
with RuneScape, you can kind of like chill out for a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Uh, there are some weird fucking topics, by the way. Like I said this before, where there's just absolutely no way I'm covering every single one of these. Um, okay, this is actually, I'm actually curious on this. Heike asks, favorite Talk Tua podcast. Do you watch Talk Tua? Do you?
uh no, no, but I feel like I should. No. Dude, Man, it's so hard to say. But like, can we just talk about Hawk Tuah for a second? Like, I
Sure,
feel like
sure.
nothing. I feel like there's nothing that probably needs to be said. Like, I feel like I don't even know, man. I don't. How is that a thing? How?
You know
Like,
what's so crazy? Okay, so this is the question I have because, okay, first off, the Hawk Tuah moment. I You know how there's like some things where like if you discover it early, you kind of feel like you're the hipster and you're like, oh, I really like this. Now everyone's gonna like it eventually. Like if you saw it early enough,
yeah,
you feel like you were kind of part of that inside joke. Well, I saw it a little
yeah,
late, just a little bit late. And
yeah.
I instantly was like repulsed by it. I'm not even like repulsed, but just like annoyed. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why does everyone care about this? This is so stupid. But again, if I had saw it earlier and maybe my perception would have changed. I might have thought it would have been funny. Like, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
it's kind of humorous, but I think I saw a meme of it first where I was annoyed by it,
Yeah.
and then I saw the original clip, and then I was like, oh, this is from that meme I saw earlier, and I'm annoyed. But
So I actually
yeah,
saw a RuneScape meme of it before I like knew what the meme was. Because I think I was on vacation somewhere or something, so I kind of missed like its comeuppance and like yeah, and then I saw like a Ohm meme of it. Like someone just photoshopped her head onto Ohm. And then yeah, and then I asked people about it and I was like, okay, like yeah, I get like I get it. I get why some people would think it's funny. And like no hate and like no hate or shade to the girl either. Like, you
hmm,
know, like she didn't ask for this. Like she's just like being herself, right?
yep, yep.
Uh, like how much it's like bit like blown up to the point where there's like Hawk to us merch being sold at like Walmart and shit. Like that's insane.
Wow. Yeah, you gotta like. Here's the thing. That is something you must capitalize on. Like if you're that person, like I think she excellently, capitalized on
Yeah.
it because if you
Yeah.
don't, it's just gonna pass in a week. That's just it's over. Like you gotta. I actually just
Yeah.
wonder how much she's profited. Like I would just love to know how much she's actually like made from that, like money wise.
Dude,
Just
it
everything.
has to be at least like several like 100,000 at least.
Yeah, the thing is I don't know the extent of this, so I'm imagining over a
Yeah.
million just from me just thinking about it, but I have
Yeah.
no idea because everybody knows about it. But then I'm like, I mean, you saying Walmart merch, I had no fucking idea there was a bunch of Walmart merch like that.
I don't know if it was Walmart. I just saw it was like it might have been like some like dingy gas station or
Yeah, yeah,
something. Like
yeah.
it was like a shop somewhere. But yeah.
No, but even that, like that blows my mind. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was
Yeah.
just thinking of like the potential like internet revenue of just stuff that
Yeah.
potentially is being monetized. But yeah, who knows? That's
She saw
crazy.
the opportunity and she took it. Like
Yeah.
that's sick. But yeah, like it's I don't like I've thought about it before. Like have there been any sort of like pop culture sort of memes like this that have had as much longevity as this has had?
That's a great
Like
question. I'm trying to think now.
I feel like the you know the yodeling kid.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I think he made like actually like pretty decent career for himself too.
What was the D's nuts? I mean, D's nuts. I that was the stupidest thing. But I eventually just was like, okay, this is funny actually. For like that's a surprising thing when you think something is so fucking stupid and then you actually
Yeah.
like come around and you're like, all right, it's funny.
No, that's how it happens. You start off by thinking something is cringe, and then like you start saying it ironically until it becomes unironic. Like,
Yes, the thing is, D's nuts. Like I don't know if that guy, you know, capitalized on it at all. I have no idea. I don't really even know the full lore
yeah.
behind it. I just remember the original video, but I mean, do you remember in North Carolina? I think somebody was running for president under the name D's Nuts, and he got like 11% of the fucking like something crazy. It's like 10 or 11% of like the voters or something were like in favor of D's Nuts. Like holy
Dude,
shit.
have you seen that black do you watch Black Mirror at all?
I've seen some. I definitely haven't been like a dedicated viewer. I've probably seen like 5 or 6 episodes of it.
Oh man, there's this okay, so there's this one episode where pretty much without too many spoilers, it's like there's a like it's pretty much like a VTuber. Like, it's not a real person. It's like a fucking cartoon character that someone created. It runs for president, or like runs for like election, a local election or something like that. And yeah, and like watching it, I remember when I was watching it at the time, I was like, this is so ridiculous. But that was in like, I must have seen that episode in like 2016. But I feel like, especially over the past like sort of decade or so, or like half decade, or so, like now I'm like, okay, like
crazier things could happen. Yeah,
crazier things could happen, and this makes like this isn't even that, like, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense that we're doing this, like, humans.
It is so crazy. Yeah, no, it's yeah, no, you know what's really crazy? I think this all happened with like Trump, was like just the potential of like celebrities, like just how valuable celebrity is in running for like public office at this point. Like, you don't need any qualifications. You just need to be recognized. You just need to have a fan base, basically. Like, seriously, like if you had real talk, like you could have somebody like I'm just thinking, like Joe Rogan could just run for president, no qualifications whatsoever. But if Joe Rogan were to run for president, he'd probably fucking win. Like, it just probably would, just because people know about him, you know? It's just like,
yeah.
It's just crazy how just being popular at this point is probably the most valuable qualification. Like, is the most valuable like thing to like run for public, which is just bizarre. And,
when Trump's first started running, he was okay. So at that point, he was kind of like a traditional celebrity. Like, he was someone who was, who had like, he was a billionaire, obviously. Like, and he had The Apprentice, which was like a pretty, like, everyone knew what The Apprentice was. A lot of people used to watch it. So he was kind of like a traditional celebrity, like how we have like Hollywood stars and stuff. I don't think it's going to be very, I don't think we're going to, like, traditional celebrities they're losing their power. So I don't think we're going to see another celebrity like Trump rise to the fame he did. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think we're going to have a Brad Pitt that people go behind, especially now that the population is like, I don't know, losing interest in the traditional celebrity, and they're moving more towards like streamers and internet celebrities. Does that make, like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's like well, the really, really mainstream celebrities, it's so interesting because you would never see somebody like Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise or any of these actual like A-list, just people that are so fucking well known and so wealthy. You would never see them, most of them you wouldn't see on like a long form podcast, because there's like an element of like mystery. Like, it's almost like the Lynx Titan effect, like the Zezima effect, where like you need like, as soon as they have an actual opinion or something, it's like you change the way you perceive them. So somebody like Brad Pitt or something, like, I don't know anything about that guy, but you still love seeing him in movies because it's just like that. He's great.
He's just like a, like, like, he's just like, one
and
of
there's
like,
he's
icons.
not polarized any of his audience, you know. It's just because as soon as you have an opinion, you polarize people, and just like, you're not going to get as popular, and you're going to probably not have roles in certain movies if you have a strong opinion on something. So I feel like there's an element where like when you're so like famous, it's not even like, there's no possible way you could run for office without like all of a sudden polarizing half the country or something.
Polarizing half the country. So it's just not worth it for them. But I think in general, like, you know, like cable TV is dying. Like, people especially like the like younger and younger people are like, I think like with all these like sort of like even like the Me Too movement and stuff that happened in Hollywood that exposed so many people. Like, I think like people are beginning to lose more and more of their trust in these like celebrities that we just kind of hail as like gods. And I think more and more people they crave like realness, like they crave real experiences and real people more than these like untouchable deities like we did in the past, you know?
Yes. No, I completely agree. It's I just feel like the younger generation, I think this has just happened over, obviously this just makes sense. The younger generation is way smarter in certain ways. Like, they're they see through bullshit so much clearer than older generations, including us millennials. Like you were what, 95, 94?
94, yeah.
Yeah, I was 95.
Yeah.
Barely made the cutoff for millennials, thank God. But like even, I mean, because I feel like we're the first generation that had the internet as children, barely, you know. And
Yeah.
so we started seeing through bullshit a lot easier and just being like, what the fuck? Like, this is not right, or this is stupid. And
Yeah.
I kind of give there's like, I give a pass to like the boomers that grew up in a generation where it's like, if you wanted information, you had to go to the library, like look up an
Yeah.
encyclopedia or something to like look up something on. It's just
100%.
so
Yeah.
different without having the internet right in the palm of your hand to look up something. And the info was all like a lot more centralized, and you know, TV was just certain networks. And so, you know, like I see my parents and they have like, you know, just kind of old fashioned views on certain things. And it kind of makes sense if you just grew your whole life that way. But nowadays, like one thing that gives me hope for the future is like, there's so much transparency, and people very much value authenticity in people. And like, it's just, it gives me hope because like young people see through bullshit so much quicker now. It's just it's so much easier to see through it. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot more traps now. Like there's a lot more ways to get manipulated, but I feel like people are just smarter in general. Like the younger generations are smarter. And
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think like you know, you and I both were sort of born we're like young millennials, right? Like to the point, like I feel like sometimes I relate to sort of like my Gen Z cousins on certain things more than I do to like my older millennial cousins. And that's not to say that I don't love I love my cousins, right? But but yeah, like it's like yeah, just family members in general. Like I think that definitely I differ in my views from them on certain things, and that's fine. But yeah, like I think we're kind of almost like we're almost like not even like fully millennial, and we're not even like fully Gen Z. We're just like in this sort of weird like gray area.
Yeah, we really are. Because yeah, millennials. When I really think millennials, I think I'm like people like late 80s, almost like born in late 80s or early 90s, like really early 90s. Those are like the real millennials.
Yeah.
Now
Exactly.
it's really interesting. And it's like I have one niece, and you know, she's turning 7 in like a couple months, but it's like she is so smart already. I mean, she's you know, she's an iPad baby, so she's had an iPad for a while, and she plays her little learning games and stuff on it, but she knows everything about technology without like literally she knows how to like do everything on a computer or anything just intuitively. It's just like not even, she didn't even have to learn it. It's just because technology's always been at her fingertips. It's like she's so smart. And she also, who knows, maybe not every kid's like this, and maybe I'm a bit like, I don't remember having like deep existential questions. Actually, I think I do kind of remember having those as a small kid, but I didn't feel comfortable asking them because it didn't feel appropriate. But she's in a really like safe environment with her parents, and they're like really, really understanding and really care about her. And there's no weird like authoritarian, like I'm the parent, you're the child, you listen to me. You know, like that's what the older generations, like I think about my dad, for example, like there's I don't know how his childhood was exactly, but I can definitely imagine back then in those days, it was like you listen to your parents. That's it. That's end of discussion. You know, there's no.
Yeah.
It's just way more boomery back then. And nowadays, you know, you see your child as like an equal in a way if you're raising your kid in a healthy way. And so she's like able to like ask legitimate deep questions about things as a 6-year-old. And I'm like, her brain is probably like getting so much smarter because she feels safe to ask things and things that she's actually curious of. And it's weird because like she actually asks like really deep things. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how are you thinking this way already at 6? But I think because of the internet, and you know, she plays Roblox too, so she's probably getting some strange ideas on Roblox from people, but like it's really fascinating seeing the younger generation genuinely like coming to deeper knowledge and stuff at a very young age and feeling comfortable like to do so, feeling like being in a safe environment to do so. So I don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no, like you hit the nail on the head. Like I think she's growing up now during a time where there's just so much information. And if you're in a healthy environment, like you said, then you're gonna you're gonna absorb that information in like a way that's only gonna be uh conducive to your curiosity and like your like your desire to like know about the world and just like be like a like just live a happy healthy life and like just
Mm-hmm.
like be a positive person, you know. I don't know, I get you too though. Like I feel that way with some of my younger cousins sometimes, like, you know, like the way that they talk about things or, you know, the way that they like process things and stuff. I'm like, wow, like I'm so glad that you guys are able to do these things that I was never able to do. Cause yeah, like, you know, my parents were like like pretty chill compared to my other friends who had immigrant parents. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there was definitely that sort of like belief that it's like you do as you're told, like, you know, like there's no like your parents are like law and like just like what you grow up with, like that's like what you have to be, like, you know, that sort of thing, right?
Yep.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's weird because I mean I'm not a parent and I don't know when I would love to be a parent at some point, but like it's weird and it's a challenge to probably raise kids now if you were raised in a much different way that you didn't agree with, like trying to figure out how to raise a child in a like a really healthy way, but still I don't know, like child raising sounds like such a headache. I don't know. Like
It's
I talked to
scary, man.
I talked to my
Yeah.
sister and my brother-in-law about it because they're the only ones in our family that or of my siblings that have a kid, and it's like yeah, they're like this is such a mess because they have no example really, like a really healthy example of how they were raised that they want to like. There's some things obviously that they can emulate, but a lot of it they're just pioneering, and they're like yeah, it's complicated. And it always feels like you're messing up your child.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
sounds
No, it's
terrifying.
like I know, like raising kids, especially in like sort of today's world, and like knowing all the risks and dangers that are out there, and like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's scary.
Hmm.
It's
Okay,
scary.
so we're kind of transitioning back to RuneScape just briefly.
Sorry,
Okay, no,
we
no,
got so like deep into it.
no, this is the best part of the podcast in my opinion. Talk too much
So
about RuneScape. There's just so many episodes. Um,
I feel that.
so let's see. This is from OK Buddy. His first topic is thoughts on what you would define as mid game into end game. Is there like a certain cutoff point that you see as like transitioning to the end game? Like a
That's a good
defining
question.
point.
I guess end game would be, I don't know what like how to just like define it exactly, but
Hmm.
I guess like a good comparison would be like going from um I consider like Zulrah, like Vorkath, like shit like that to be kind of more mid game.
Hmm.
Maybe mid like encroaching onto late. But and then like end game would probably be well like raids Inferno, and I guess that's where you're like working for like BIS and
Hmm.
like the mechanics become like significantly, I guess, harder. I don't know. What about you? Like what do you
It's
think?
yeah, no, that's it's interesting because I actually see it in like four stages. So there's early game, mid game, late game, and then end game, in my opinion.
Right,
And
okay.
so early is like up to your first Grandmaster quest, and then I think as soon as you've done like your first Grandmaster quest, like DS2 or something, then you've entered mid game. I wouldn't say you have to get a quest cape to enter mid game, but I think it's like as soon as you've done at least one Grandmaster quest, you're now in mid game. And then
Yeah.
late game, I would say, is as soon as you are raiding, you have an infernal cape, you're, you know, going for like best in slot gear and stuff. That's the late game. Or sorry, that's oh yeah. So sorry, mid game would be like after you do like the end of mid game would be like after you have quest cape, after you've had a little bit of raid experience, and then I think late game begins once you have your infernal cape, and then you start raiding and stuff, and then I think end game is when you have all the mega rares and you're just at that point like you're maxed. I think late
Yeah.
game ends
Mhm.
when you're maxed as well, and then end game is all post max, post mega rares, and you're just like clogging and doing random bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's a pretty good way to classify it because yeah, because once you do get all that uh best in slot gear and like you're maxed out and shit, then like after that there's like a whole sort of new because for so long the grind is just maxing and
Mm-hmm.
getting gear.
Yep.
But then and so for some people that's their end game. That's like okay, they're like okay, I've like done as much as I can and or like you know I'm at the end like this is it. But then I think that's honestly when the game begins. Like I think that's when the game began for me personally.
Yeah, it is really. So have you played like because okay, how long have you been maxed for?
I have been maxed for just under a year.
Okay, but I would say you have almost felt like it's almost felt like you've been end game for a while, at least I guess in my eyes.
Yeah. I've pretty much been like an end. I would consider myself to be end game since probably, if we're going by this definition of like gear and stuff
Hmm.
like that, probably beginning of 2019.
Yeah. There's like this element, and it's different for mains because I'm thinking almost like Iron Man, where you're forced to like actually grind out your mega rares. You can't just like buy them and just start raiding all the time. So it's a little
Yeah.
bit, the classification is a little bit different for mains and irons, but
Mhm.
yeah, the game is completely different once you hit that point. Because I remember after I maxed, I mean, I think I still had to get like my scythe. I think, or no, yeah, I think I still had to get my scythe, but I got it a couple months after maxing. And then at that point, the game just felt so weird. It's like I had to just I come up with my own grinds, and it's like really liberating. But at the same time, it's easy to burn out if you don't have like your goals. Because when you start a new account, like I've been playing this new group hardcore, it's like goals are just placed in front of you, and there's constantly things to do, constantly leveling up. As soon as you're maxed, though,
Dude,
it's
that
like, what
yeah,
the
yeah,
fuck
yeah.
am I doing?
Yeah. No, I heard, dude, I saw your guys' team. That is a crazy team. Like that is actually a goated team.
It's so
I was
fun.
like, I was even thinking to myself, I was like, okay, I was like, yo, they had to have like just like been in Vegas or something, or like wherever you guys were, and you guys were like, yo, we should start a team.
It was actually it was so you're a part of Based.
Yeah,
It was I was on a Based After Dark podcast in like April or something, and
yeah,
I was just like, oh, that'd be so fun. Yeah, I was just like completely just spitballing. I was like, that'd be really fun to like make a hardcore group just with a bunch of streamers and stuff. I was kind of like just casually saying it. And then T Pop had like like a twinkle in his eye, and because apparently him, Tasty, Jesse, and Prison Joe at the time, who eventually left the group because he was just busy.
yeah.
They had already been like kind of talking about like making a hardcore group. So at the end of the podcast, they were like, "Hey, we're gonna make one. Do you want to be a part of this?" I'm like, "Oh hell yeah!" And then eventually, Prison Joe left. No Monkey. We got No Monkey to be a recruit in it, and yeah, no, it just kind of happened, and I fucking have loved it. Like it's been so
Yeah.
fun.
No, man, it seems like such a fun team. Like that's so sick.
Yeah, it's fun. The worst part is like we're only down to 2 lives now, which is super depressing.
Aw. Wait,
Yeah.
how long have you guys had that?
We've been playing this since July 26th, so it's pretty much been like 2.5 months, which is a pretty
Okay.
decent time to only have lost 3 lives.
Yeah.
But it is
How'd you
kind
guys
of
lose them?
well, I died to a mushroom, which was very ironic. Like I don't know how the hell that happened, but I died to a zygamite at Fossil Island because
Oh no.
this was like week 2 or something. Because or maybe it was week 3. I was biking over to my parents' house because it was my dad. Oh, it was week. Yeah, it must have been week 2 because I was biking over to my parents' house for my dad's birthday, and I before I like went out of my apartment, I was like, oh, I'll just like go over to ammonite crabs really quick and just fucking AFK for 10 minutes on my phone while I bike there, you know? Just why not?
Yeah.
You gain a little bit of XP, help out the team. And so I load
Yeah.
it all up and stuff. And this is like the first time ever that I'm starting to play mobile. Like I hate playing mobile. Like I just never wanted to do it. So it's like a first for me. Like I wasn't going, like when I got off my computer, I'd log out and I wouldn't play until I got back on the computer. But I was like, okay, I'm going to try to gain some XP because I'm going to do this. Anyway, so I left and I kept my screen on because I was using classic, just like RuneScape mobile, not like
Yeah.
Chrome Remote Desktop or anything at the time. But yeah, so I put my screen face down in my shorts and started biking. And I pull up to the like second red light. And this is like 4 minutes into me biking. And I just pull out my phone, just like maybe like re-tap and just see if my guys, you know, still attacking ammonite crabs. And
Yeah.
as soon as I pull out my phone, I am running into Death's office. I'm like,
Oh
what? And my heart just
no.
fucking drops. I'm like, what? Like, what happened?
Bruh.
And the first thing that was on my mind was like, am I on a PvP world? Like, what the fuck happened? Like, how could I possibly die? Like, what the hell happened? Because I was like, there's no way an ammonite crab killed me. These things hit zeros and ones.
Yeah.
And anyway, and then I'm like, what the fuck? And then I see the chat on RuneScape Mobile. And of course, it's like the worst thing to ever navigate and start typing on your mobile keyboard. But I see Tasty like question marking, and everyone's like, what the fuck just happened? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I'm going to try to type to them. And then I open up the world map and I see the gravestone location. And
Yeah.
it's in like the north part of Fossil. Like my dude had like ran up north somehow due to like leg heat. And
Bro.
just the tapping of my leg randomly clicked on a zygamite. The
Dude.
chances of this is like a 1 in a million. Like I swear to God, like it makes no sense that I would have done that. And then
That's unreal.
and then to do that and to not keep moving, like what are the odds of me not continually tapping on my foot or on my leg and having it, you know, run somewhere else? Like no, my guy just
Yeah.
ran up there, tapped on the zygamite and died to it. And there is no getting away from that zygamite. Like as soon as you pick it, and on mobile, it's a default
Yeah.
left click option. If you have any attack options on, it is default pick. There's no hiding it unless you have all your attack options hidden, which I was killing ammonite crabs. I'm not going to hide it because you can't even right click to or hold and tap to click them. So
Yeah.
it's default left click and you pick it. I didn't even have the Slayer level to kill them. So I'm dealing 0 damage and you need the fucking pesticide in order to actually kill them. And I didn't have that, obviously. So I'm just sitting there until I die. And it was the most disturbing thing ever. And then after that, a few weeks later, No Monkey died to a DC at Scurious. And then just like a couple weeks ago, No Monkey died again to Monkey Room and TOA.
Ah, jeez.
Yeah, so it's pretty bad.
No, it sounds that is so unfortunate. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. I didn't even know that was possible. Like for
It's
the fucking like leg heat, like
it's
what
so
the
dumb.
fuck?
And
That's
then
wild.
I like biked. So that, you know, the whole birthday dinner I'm having with my parents' house, I just like refused to open my phone to like, because I knew for a fact my Discord was going to explode. Everybody on Twitter, because
Yeah.
everybody was streaming at the time. Like all my teammates were streaming. They all saw it, and nobody
Oh
got any
no.
actual
Yeah.
information on what happened. And I was like, so for like 2 hours, everyone's in the dark about like what the fuck just happened.
You're like, I'll deal with this later. I'm just gonna enjoy this dinner
Yeah.
first.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not
Yeah.
going to ruin this. And anyway, I came back and I log in. I'm just telling everybody it. And everyone's like trying to give me advice of like, oh, you should have gotten a bike mount. I'm like, I'm not trying to fucking play on my bike. Like I just did this one time thing. And it was like the most unlucky thing that could possibly happen. And like everyone's trying to give me advice on like how to do mobile properly with, you know, make sure your phone's facing the other way so your leg heat doesn't have. I was like, dude, I don't need this advice now. I'm not playing on my phone anymore. Like this is stupid. So,
Man,
yeah, it was bad.
that's why. So when you did open up your phone, was it just fucking bricked with messages?
Yeah, and just so many people were just yeah, it was bad. And I felt so bad for my teammates too, because seeing the 5 of 5, like every time you log in, it shows how many lives you have. And
Yeah.
5 of 5 looks so good. It's like, oh yes, like we're totally good. And seeing 4 of 5 was very depressing.
Yeah.
And then 3 of 5 looks really bad, and then 2 of 5 looks horrible. Like it's just like, oh god. And you see it every time you log in. Like you have 2 of 5 lives left. Like god damn it.
Well, now you learned the lesson about leg heat that every
Yeah.
RuneScape player
Are you
must
gonna are you
learn
gonna
at
give
one point.
are you gonna give me advice on I should get a bike mount? Like, please tell me that. You should have get a bike mount. Yeah, no.
Dude, for real, for real.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I fucking I had man, I lost two bill and my
What?
Inferno cave.
To what?
Um
Did you log into a PvP world?
no, okay, so I had been doing Duo Tob the night before
Okay. Oh
and
no, I already know
had
what.
a
Oh, God.
yeah, I had a little bit to this was when I was maxing, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I had a little bit to drink and then the next day I went to um volcanic mine.
Oh no.
And the mine was really unstable, but then my friend that I was with at the time, he was like, "Nah, nah, it's all good. It's all good. Like we'll be fine." We weren't fine and the mine collapsed. And then I go to my bank and or like yeah, I'm just like reclaiming all my shit. I open up my bank. I'm like,
Oh no.
"Wait,
Oh no.
where's my placeholder for man, I can't even remember exactly what
Like
I think I
Torva
lost
and
all my
stuff?
Torva.
Oh
Yeah,
my
Torva.
God.
Torva, and luckily I didn't lose my scythe or like any like my fucking
Like your main three
anything that
shit.
was
Yeah, or like your yeah,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So none of like the big ticket items. And yeah, so I guess I just forgotten to reclaim. I think I just like logged out like after the duo tob because I think I was like a little bit tilted or something.
Yeah.
And I just like gotten off my PC. And then yeah, and then it was just I just double deathed in it and it was gone. And then but luckily I had the GP to be able to cover it all.
Oh, that's
So
so bad though.
I know it's like such a big dent, man. But then I had a couple of generous friends who helped me a little bit just so that I still had a little bit of GP in my fucking bank.
Yeah, that's not. See, that's the difference between like Iron Man and Main. If that happens on an Iron Man, it's like you're on suicide watch. I mean, have you seen
I
the
can't even imagine, bro. I can't imagine.
people like the UIM that
Mega Armoros or something like that.
was he the one that died to Duke? Like the double
I don't know
death?
if he died to Duke, but this guy, I think he got PK'd or some shit. And
Oh
this
my
guy had
God.
like, I think he was like a like fucking like one of the best UIMs like out
Yeah.
there or something.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and just you have to quit at that point. There's no rebuilding. You're not rebuilding on a UIM. Like that is just stupid. And yeah,
Yeah.
there was a guy that died to the Duke thing when Duke mining was a thing. I don't know what exactly happened. He like death piled first or something. I don't know exactly what happened. Apparently, if you die there
Yeah.
or something. Anyway, and then there was some other UIM as well that died to like the Wilderness Ditch. Somebody scouted him out and killed him, and I'm like,
Dude.
dude, even on a normal Ironman, like if you lose,
Yeah.
I I had a very close. I've had a few close calls on Sae Bae, like my main iron, where like
Yeah.
one of them was I was on a target world and I was doing a clue and I was gonna lose like my blowpipe, my claws, my eternal glory. I think that was pretty
Yeah.
much it, and like all my scrolls in my master scroll book. I was gonna lose everything basically, which I had a lot. And I somehow
Oh God.
survived because I was streaming and I called out my like there was four people on me and I all I had was two brews and
Oh my
and
God.
it's singles of course, so that's good, but
Yeah.
you know they're gonna just keep tagging me and they're gonna freeze me and stuff, and I was already teleblocked for 5 minutes and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm fucking dead. So I just started yelling for my stream to log in, and so a bunch of my stream
My
people like
God.
came out like naked with like crystal bows and stuff, and they
Oh
tagged them
jeez.
off, and I had no more brews, no more food, and I was like 19 HP, and I ran out and somehow gapped them and logged out. And, but
Oh
I was
my
so
God.
terrified because like you know that's not even that big of a risk for a main. It's like whatever, but dude,
Yeah.
re-grinding an eternal glory is hell. And then regrinding claws, that's like basically doing chambers again. Like you got to regrind chambers, like just and
Yeah.
yeah, like things like that. And then I don't know if you remember Hydra release, where like the floor would hurt you if you're not wearing the proper boots. So you just there was a bunch of people that lost like their full armor bill and
Oh, because they
all that.
didn't know or
Yeah,
whatever.
because they would
Like,
just run back to their like, oh, I'm just gonna loot it really quick. I'm taking a bunch of
yeah.
damage, but we'll be fine, right? Nope, double death.
Oh, yeah. No, that's brutal. I can't even imagine how I would feel if that happened to me on an Iron Man because you've put in so many hours for it. And
Yeah.
even though it's just pixels, it's just like, it's not even pixels, man. It's like hours of your time. Like,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like, yeah, it was crazy though. Everything happens for a reason. So I lost my Infernal cape as well when my shit happened, and like I fucking because it wasn't parchmented, so I
Hmm.
had to go back and get an Infernal cape, and it was my third KC ever, and I got a fucking pet.
Oh my God. That is the most beautiful silver lining about it.
Yeah, so it was like worth. I pretty much just paid 2 bill for Inferno pet. So
Yeah.
I'm not even like that mad.
That is awesome. It's actually the dream. What's your favorite pet?
That's a good question. I would love to get the Bloodhound. I think he's so cute. Like, I don't know. I think it's just an amazing pet. I also really like the little mutadial, like the
Mm,
dusted omelet.
hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
I think, well, Nibbler used to be my all-time favorite, but now it's Baron. Baron's my top,
Mm.
and I actually love the Huey pet. Have you looked up closely at the Huey pet that came out?
No, here. I'm gonna Google it right now. How do you spell it?
Huey. Just type that in
Why? Oh,
OSRS.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
Got
whatever
it,
the
got
pet
it.
is. But it's not going to do it justice just looking at the image of it because
Mm.
when you actually look at it closely, it's like, you know how a lot of like RuneScape stuff, it's all kind of like choppy, like the animations are kind of choppy, and we're all used
Yeah,
to it.
especially when you zoom in. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this one is
Yeah.
smooth as fuck. It's like twice as smooth as every other pet and every other animation of the game. It's
Okay.
it's like psychedelic. It's really cool looking, and that's probably my second favorite pet at this point. And I've always loved Kraken as well. I love Kraken, but Nibbler might be like third. I just love the Kraken because. Oh, did you also know that you probably have never done a seaweed run in your life? Iron Men have
Mm.
to do it, but like your pets can't go underwater, but Kraken can. It's cool. So
Wait, really?
yeah, yeah, it's kind of cool.
What? Okay, well, I mean that makes sense. It's like it's cool that they pay attention to those type of things sometimes and add those
Rarely,
type of
yeah.
Easter eggs to the game. So, yeah, rarely.
But and it's always festive. It's always got its Santa hat
Yeah.
on for Christmas. I fucking love that.
I'm looking at the Huey pet right now, and like, yeah, like the design is like so like intricate. Like,
And it's weird. Like it doesn't even feel like it fits OSRS. It's like so odd looking, but the
I
way
like
it
the colors on it
sways,
too.
yeah, and maybe it's a little bit biased because whenever a new pet comes out, I always think it's cool. And then over time,
That's
it's like,
fair.
okay, you kind of like, because I remember when the Hydra
You
pet
bore
first came
me.
out, I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. Now it's like,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel that. I feel
Yeah.
that. That's how I felt about the Tob pet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Top Hat, the original Top Hat sucks. The dusted one's sick.
The dusted one, the Zar. What's your favorite transmog from the
Ooh,
dusted
from
ones?
any of the raids, like any dusted,
Tob,
or just
Tob,
Tom.
yeah, Tob.
Um, honestly, my favorite's probably like bloat. Oh, you know what I also love is
Hmm.
I love the Zarpus pet because it's like
Yes,
the
yeah.
Zarpus one is like way better than Dusk and Dawn. Like, people like the
Yeah.
Grotesque Guardians pet, but that looks like a budget Zarpus, like the flying one, Dawn.
Like you said, it just like looks smoother. Like it looks,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
It's
yeah,
way
yeah.
it's
I
way
get you.
better. It's just so much better like designed, and it actually looks like it's flapping like better. Like the other one just, and it's like richer colors too. One of the things I also don't like is the Sire pet. The Sire pet looks too bright. Like I wish the colors were more dark and like rich. Yeah, the
For
Sire pet's
Sire,
kind of, yeah, the Sire pet's kind of basic. It's kind of ugly looking. I don't know.
dude, I think the ugliest pet is probably
Skodos.
the. You think Skodos really?
I fucking hate Skodos.
I was gonna say BA.
Oh yeah, BA sucks. Everyone loves it
It's
because it's
so
rare. It's
so
so
yeah, because it's
gross.
rare. Yeah, it's just like a big
Like what the fuck is it? It's like a
like a
beetle. Yeah,
slug.
slug thing.
Yeah,
A snail. Who knows?
like Jabba the Hutt, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, like, so there's some really shitty ones, like herons, boring, and there's a lot of boring pets. Oh, I love Bone Squirrel. Have you seen the new Bone Squirrel from Varlamore?
Bone Squirrel? No. Okay, hold on here. I'm
Look
gonna
at
search
that.
it up. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I've been so busy with like going back to school. I haven't even logged into the game in like a month. But
Yeah, no, a lot of shit's come out. You've missed out on like all of Varlamore Part Two.
no way. Oh, I've heard things about thieving. A lot of people like the thieving there.
Um, yeah. People like the Varlamore thieving, but there's like a new
Mm.
Herblore mini game that came out. There's that's the Huey pet that came out with Varlamore Part Two, and then there's
Right.
and the Bone Squirrel. I don't even know what it's called. Is it just called Bone Squirrel? Do you see it?
Yeah, it says giant squirrel. Wait, what?
Yeah, it's the giant squirrel, but it's like the
Yeah.
bone variant.
Oh, I see. Okay, I
Do
see
you
what
see
you
it?
mean. Yeah.
I
Yeah, yeah,
love
yeah, yeah.
that. He's so cool, little skeleton.
Yeah, we don't have anything. We don't really have any other pet like that, do we?
Yeah,
Like
it's
a
really cool.
skeleton. Yeah. No, that's cool. I'm excited to play again, man. I feel like I'm like so behind,
Let me
so
actually
out
ask
of
you
the
about
loop.
that. Like when
Hmm.
you take a break, like do you feel like the excitement diminishes over RuneScape, or do you think it like builds up and you just want to like do you like? Because I remember as a kid when I wouldn't play,
Yeah.
or even like in younger adult years, like when I wasn't playing, I would think about playing. I'm like, oh, that'd be so much fun. Then you actually start playing, it's like, oh, this sucks. But
So that era I
yeah,
told you about when I was banned from RS3 and I just didn't play video games at all. I literally used to have dreams about RuneScape, like dungeoneering and stuff.
yeah.
And I would just like ignore them, even though
Uh,
the universe was throwing every sign at my face that I should start playing again. Like I would literally dream about that shit. But yeah, so I think, yeah, in a way, like I think one part of me, like whenever I get time away from like the internet and like I sort of unplug from like gaming and all that, like um, a big part of me likes to reconnect with like sort of like my IRL life.
yes.
But then I think there is that part of me that just loves RuneScape so much and like it's been such a big part of my life for so long that it's like it's something that like once I get back into it, I'm like oh like I that addiction comes back and that like that rush comes back of just like wanting to raid all day with my friends or just like
Yeah.
just like hang out, like chill and stuff.
Yeah, that's actually cool that you get reignited from actually playing it. Because for me, it's always like the fantasy of playing it. It's like when I take a break, it's like
Mm.
I just daydream about it, and the daydreams are much better than even playing it because I'm just imagining how fun it'll be, and then you actually start playing. It's like okay, this is fun, but it's not like as good as I was anticipating it.
Right. So like a little bit of the opposite in that sense.
Yeah, it's like the dopamine
Yeah,
hit
yeah,
of just
yeah.
imagining playing when you can't. It's like oh
Yeah. No, that like I could see that too. Like like that makes sense. Like because like the longer that you're away from something, the more that you like kind of romanticize it in your head, you know?
okay. Here's a few questions from Megan. Uh,
Oh shit.
Megan
Yep.
asks, I love Megan, by the way.
My goat.
Yeah. She asks, what's
Sorry,
your,
sorry, sorry. That was to her. That was to her. She'll know. She'll know.
what, what's your favorite update in the game?
Okay, I'm gonna be obviously biased when I say this, but probably if I'm like
Just say it.
thinking about yeah, like if I'm thinking about the updates that's had the biggest impact on my life, probably top.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess, right? That's the probably the content I've sunk the most hours into, streamed the most. Um, and yeah, it's just a really fun, replayable piece of content. And like I was saying earlier, like it's as difficult as you want it to be. And for me, that's what makes it so much fun. Is just like every time I go, every time I step foot into the tub, I'm like, yo, like if my Tebow just maxes every single hit, I could like get a new PB or I could get like close to wreck. Like that's like all the mindset I have every time I go into a room. And for me personally, like that's what makes it like so fun and enjoyable because you just never know what you're gonna get like RNG wise and then also obviously purple wise, Like
Yep.
I think the last time or like two like yeah, like, I think the last time that I got a new duo PB, it was on a scythe and bruh, like the dopamine spike, like just unfathomable.
It just hits diffy.
Yeah.
Um, how does a kitten have nearly do you actually have almost 6,000 top, Casey? With such tiny paws, she asks.
Yeah, I'm at like I think I'm around 5,500,
Oh my
something like
god! How
that.
many scythes do you? What does your log look like? How many scythes do you have on your log?
Okay, so my log is pathetic.
Oh no.
I have like 16 pets, and then I have I have I want to say like 8 sites in my
Okay,
name.
that's not horrible. It's
It's
bad, but
not
it's not
horrible,
horrible.
but almost everyone I've compared my log to who's at my KC has almost double the sites
Yeah,
as me. But I've gotten quite a lot of splits as well,
yeah, yeah,
like from
yeah.
other people. So it kind of balances out a bit, I guess. I don't know.
How much money do you think you've made? Do you have an estimate of how much money you've made at Tob?
Probably if we factor in all the money I've lost, like doing things like resets and just like buying new gear and losing money on gear and potions and things
Mm-hmm.
like that, I would guess it probably has to be around 25 bill, something like that.
Oh my God. What's your bank value? Do you like, I don't know if you have like other, because a lot of mains, they'll like
Yeah.
have multiple accounts or they'll have friends that they loan stuff to, but like, do you know what your bank value is?
Yeah, so like I said, dude, I've honestly torched so much money doing things like resets.
Mm-hmm.
And I've lost a shitload of money buying items on release and then just not playing enough to make up the money that I lost. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, Inquisitor. I bought Inquisitor for 2 bill, okay?
That shit
And
is
then
worthless now.
I know, and I got burnt out of that content so fast that I just never like made up the money in like harms or whatever
Yeah,
the
yeah,
fuck to
yeah.
like yeah. So anyway, so I've lost a lot of money. I think I'm at like I want to say like 9 or 10 bill, something like that.
Okay, so you still have
No, wait, what am
every,
I saying? No. I'm so dumb. No, I have like 12 or 13 bill. I haven't logged in, so I don't remember. But yeah, it's definitely more than 10 bill because I made a 10 bill bank video not too long ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, isn't that wild to think like 10 bill. I mean, because my Iron Man, I think my Iron Man's like 17 bill or something. And I just remember like, even back when I was playing in 2015, like 1 bill was like unfathomable. Like, oh my God, if I had a bill, like, because back
Yeah.
then there was no such thing as a T-bow or anything. But nowadays it's like you
Yeah.
basically have to have like 5 to 10 bill just to have all the gear you need.
Exactly. Money is a lot easier to make these days
It
and stuff
is.
as well with all the methods that are out and like especially TOA. TOA put so much money into the game. And like but um but yeah, like I remember I tweeted like fucking like in 2018 when I made my first bill because that was the first time I think I got like a Tebow split. No, it wasn't even a Tebow split. I think I just made money from like a free for all dexes and stuff from doing
Mm.
free for all chambers. And I tweeted saying like, "Oh my god, like I never thought I would make 1 billion GP on this game." Like back then I used to I remember like when I first started playing I was like wow like I'd love to have at least like 300 mil. I think if I
Yeah,
made
yeah.
300 mil like
You're
I'd be
set.
set. Like I'd be so happy. And then it's like the more you have the more you want like
So true. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy how different like the goalpost always moves. You always want more. Um,
Yeah.
Megan's last question is, this is one I even just hesitate to ask, but I'm just gonna ask it for Megan's sake, okay? Because she
Oh
asked
my
it, and I
god.
respect her enough to read it. So for those innocent ears out there, just plug your ears. All right, if you could fuck any RuneScape NPC, who would it be and why?
Jeez. I knew this was coming. I
I'm
read
so
she
sorry.
No, you're
I'm,
good. She posted that like she like sent me that she was gonna ask that, and I was like, oh my god, she's so funny. Okay, so I actually have had time to think about it, actually. Um,
okay, let's hear it.
so so the short answer is probably like Diango, I think, because I don't know, like he just seems like he has like so many tricks up his sleeve and like he seems like pretty like spontaneous
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like a fun guy, like a
yeah,
fun cool guy, you know? I don't know, he
yeah,
just
yeah.
gives that vibe, doesn't he?
I'm no answer from me. I'm gonna keep my no response. Oh
But
my
then
god.
you have like the wise old man who's like he's like wise. It's literally in his name, so he probably has like hella experience and shit. Like I don't know.
Oh yeah, that dude just radiating confidence too.
Yeah.
That is so funny. Now that the question's been asked, now I'm thinking like, yeah, I mean, wait. Have you done While Gothic Sleeps?
No, I haven't. Not yet. No.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Duradel turns into Curadol, which is the female version of Duradel.
Spoilers?
Yeah. Sorry.
Thanks.
Oh
No,
yeah.
I'm just
This.
joking. I'm
Yeah.
just joking.
Like
Yeah.
the Neve. It's like the Steve Neve thing or the Neve
Yeah,
Steve
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, she's fucking hot. So if I had to choose, maybe Curadol at this point. She's always giving me good tasks too, you know. So maybe she likes me. Who knows?
Dude, like it's so weird, man. It's so weird. Like the yeah. That makes
What were you
sense.
gonna
I
say?
understand.
What were you gonna say?
I don't know. I don't even remember what I was gonna say. I think I was just gonna say like not even RuneScape, but like, dude, like growing up, did you ever have like crushes on like cartoon characters?
Oh yeah, everybody did. Everybody did.
Yeah, and okay, like
It's always weird though because it's like
yeah.
they're cartoons. You're like, I'm not supposed to like this. This is weird.
There is so much NSFW content of Neve. Don't ask me how I know that, but there is so much
Oh
of it.
yeah. Oh yeah. No,
Like,
but just I've seen the safe for work versions. Well, they're still not safe for work, but on Reddit, you know, I've seen those posted. So
that's
yeah, there was
crazy.
one. Oh wait, who was the? I don't think it was Neve. There was one that was very. Oh wait, oh yeah, it's always the it's the sandwich lady ones. Those ones are always the ones that
Um,
really get the community really just upvoting. It's the
really
sandwich.
get the juices flowing.
Yeah. It's the sandwich lady ones where you know she's Anyway, I'm not going to go into graphic detail, but
Yeah.
sandwich lady is always the best ones in my opinion. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you've thought about this before too.
Oh yeah, no, I mean because you just see it. You know, people the old school community is very. What's really odd is when like it's a girl artist making it. It's actually usually the female artists that make it the best too, which is very surprising. You would think
Yeah.
the guys would, but I feel like the guys do it a little bit like too disproportionately. Like they just don't do it properly. But I think
Yeah. Women maybe have like a slightly more like artistic
nuanced.
or
Yeah.
realistic
Yeah,
approach
yeah.
to
It's like
it.
it's
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know how it works that way, but it seems to be that way.
I think it's because like I don't know, maybe women to some extent like know kind of our bodies like
I think
better.
because
And
we as guys think that guys know what we really want, but I think we
yeah.
underestimate how much women know what we actually want. I think that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who
No, and
knows?
so yeah, that might also be a reason why they have like a good eye
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Okay. Let's see. Uh, okay. Well, here I'll read this. So the Duck Chris is asking best food in Toronto. You are Canadian, correct?
I am Canadian, but I don't live in Toronto. But
Oh.
I think the last time I've been there was like last year for like 5 days, and I ate at a Thai place so that I really liked. So probably
Ooh,
that Chris.
I love Thai food.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
and then he is asking, why is Hootie like that? Why is Hootie like that? You know, I even hesitate to ask his thing because he's asking, question for Sinferna, is it true you are a big idiot? What's wrong with that guy? He's a JMod. He should be a little bit more official, you know, with his tweets, right?
Bro, bro, like he is just on one. And it's funny, like Hootie is like genuinely such a like a normal guy.
I
But
know.
he's just like yeah, like and like he is just mastered like being like a troll and like you know what I mean? Like
He
he just
has.
knows how to get a rise out of people and shit. And like I think that's part of the reason why um he was such a good pick by Jagex and stuff. Like it was like they should have hired him sooner, like straight up because I don't know, I think he has like a really good eye for like knowing what type of content is gonna get like a lot of engagement, etc. And that's like me and him like DM each other about tweets and ideas and stuff all the time, just like bounce ideas off each other because like we genuinely like think like quite similarly. Like we have a pretty similar sense of humor and just like outlook on like creativity, especially when it comes to RuneScape memes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But don't tell him I said any of that. He's still a fucking dumbass.
No, he's honestly really, really talented. Like,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
straight up very talented guy, very creative. I had him on the cast like a couple years ago, and he and like you said, he's very normal too, which is odd to say, but he is.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why me and him get along so well is just because um yeah, I don't know. We just like having a laugh.
That's great. Okay. So, kind of just glancing over these. I think we'll wrap things up here. I'm seeing some
Mhm.
questionable ones, but Sin, I have absolutely loved talking to you today. This was actually a really great afternoon for me. So thanks for coming on. Thanks for
Oh, of
talking.
course, man. Of
And
course. It's been great. Yeah.
and I guess we'll wrap things up with asking for a couple shout outs. So if you have any shout outs from the community that you'd like to give, anybody like from your stream or creators or just anybody, any players. And also I'm going to have your links down in the description. So your Twitch and your
Beautiful.
YouTube and Twitter.
Uh,
And yeah.
People I would shout out. Oh man, that's a tough one. I guess just like the based homies. Yeah, like
Speaking of,
Megan, Hootie. Yeah.
sorry for interrupting. Speaking of
No,
based,
you're good.
you've never been to the based meetups, have you? Or have you?
Okay, so I've been to TwitchCon 2022, but then the one that happened recently, like the one that they did, where was it? Orlando,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, that was happening like super close to another meetup that I was doing with some of my other like Rooney friends, and like me and Megan were both there. Like she was there on that trip too,
Mm.
and we had planned that so like way before the other trip. So like yeah, I just couldn't make it happen. But I wanted to come, and like I definitely am gonna come to ones in the future. But yeah,
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I was gonna say like
yeah,
there was the Tennessee one, then there was TwitchCon 2023, and then there was Orlando, and I didn't see you there
yeah.
ever. So
Yeah, and I couldn't go to this TwitchCon either because I had another trip
oh
like
yeah,
this like
nobody was
pretty
going to
much
this
same week.
TwitchCon. I didn't go to this one
Yeah.
either. It feels
Okay,
like
yeah.
nobody did.
Yeah, it does feel that. I feel like a lot of people are gonna go to RuneFest though.
Yeah, now you know what? I was really excited to go. I don't know if I'm going now because I'll be honest. I was holding on to a little bit of hope that I was gonna get some accommodations made for being a creator, but they shot it
Yeah.
down. They're like, oh yeah, fuck you, basically. And they're like, we're not. Yeah, I'm
Bruh,
like,
come
what the
on.
hell? Like, come on, no more J mods on the cast now. You know what? No more. Just like I tried. No.
Boycotting. No, I'm joking. But yeah, no, I don't know, dude. The thing about this RuneFest is it's happening in March in England in Birmingham, and I'd be spending like 2K to like go there during that time of year in that city. Like it
Yeah,
just, you
it's
know what I
yeah,
mean?
not optimal.
No, but yeah, I'm just trying to think of other shout outs. I don't know. I guess just like my homies, they know who they are. That's about it. I don't know.
Awesome. That works. Okay, so as I said, guys, go drop a follow on Sinferna's links. I'm going to have them all below. Thank you all for listening. If you guys would like to support the cast, there's also a Patreon and YouTube membership link down there. Get your name on the title screen. And that is it for me. Oh, wait, actually, one last thing for me is
Subscribe to Sae
Aw,
Bae.
and subscribe to Sinferna. Why not? Give a double sub. We are going to have Gentle Tractor on the cast this Saturday, I want to say. Either this Saturday or Sunday. And I'm very, very excited for that. That'll be part 2 after about 3 years. So very well-spoken member of the community that's offered amazing insight on the game over the years through Reddit and stuff. So I'm really, really looking forward to talking to him again. And thank you again, Sin. Thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thank you so much, man. It was such a nice chat.
I appreciate that. All right, guys, we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.